Okay, so Saturday morning started like any other Saturday. Benjamin, was trying to sleep in, but my little brother Norbert was already making noises. He's always up early. Mom, Emily, was in the kitchen. I could smell toast. Dad, Charlie, was probably reading the news on his phone. We didn't have any big plans, or so I thought. Little did I know, Mom had an idea brewing. Then, Mom called everyone into the living room. She had this smile on her face, the kind that means she's thought of something fun. "Guess what, everyone," she said. "I was looking online, and LI Movie Nights is showing Paw Patrol. The movie today." Norbert's ears perked up. He loves Paw Patrol. Dad looked up from his phone. "A drive-in movie? That sounds pretty cool, actually," he said. Henry and I looked at each other. A drive-in? That sounded way better than just sitting around the house. Norbert was already bouncing up and down yelling, "Paw Patrol! Paw Patrol!" It was official, we were going to the drive-in. So the plan was set. We were going to East Farmingdale, New York, to LI Movie Nights. The movie started at 3:45 p.m. The excitement was already starting to build. This was going to be fun. First things first, Mom said we should pack some snacks from home. Even though we knew we'd buy popcorn and stuff at the drive-in, Mom always says it's good to have backups. So we gathered some juice boxes, a bag of pretzels, and some fruit snacks. Norbert tried to sneak in a whole box of cookies, but Mom caught him. "Just a few, Norbert," she said, laughing. We put everything into a cooler bag. Next, Dad was in charge of getting the car ready. He told Henry and me to grab some blankets and pillows from our beds. We piled them into the back seat. Norbert insisted on bringing his special Paw Patrol blanket. Dad also checked the tire pressure and made sure the radio worked. Then it was time for everyone to get ready. Norbert naturally had to wear his Paw Patrol t-shirt. Henry and I just wore regular clothes. Finally, after what felt like a million years, everyone was mostly ready. Dad did the classic, "Does anyone need to use the bathroom?" call. Norbert, of course, said yes even though he just went. Mom reminded Dad about the cooler bag with our emergency snacks. We were finally actually really truly ready to leave. It was like launching a spaceship. But instead of going to the moon, we were going to see cartoon dogs save the day. Close enough. So, we all piled into the van. Dad was driving, Mom was in the passenger seat, and us three kids were in the back. Norbert was in the middle, strapped into his car seat, practically vibrating with excitement. Henry was on one side, already looking a bit bored, and I was on the other, just watching the houses go by. The engine started, and we were off. The journey to East Farmingdale wasn't super long, but with Norbert asking, "Are we there yet?" Every 5 minutes it sometimes felt like it. Mom tried to distract him by pointing out interesting things along the road. We passed by some shops, a park, and lots of trees. Mom put on some music, some old songs she and Dad like. They started singing along, which is always kind of embarrassing, but also a little bit funny. Henry put on his headphones, probably listening to something much cooler. Norbert was too busy thinking about Paw Patrol to care about the music. As we got closer to East Farmingdale, we started seeing signs for LI Movie Nights. And then, we saw it. The giant white movie screen, standing tall in the distance. Pulling into the entrance area felt like entering a special zone, a zone dedicated to movies and fun. Pulling up to the ticket booth was the first official step. There was a short line of cars, which wasn't too bad. Dad rolled down his window. A friendly person in the booth told him the price for our carload. Dad paid, and they handed him a ticket and a little flyer with the rules. Once we had our ticket, the next challenge was finding a good parking spot. You want to be close enough to see well, but not so close that you're craning your neck. Dad drove slowly through the rows of parked cars. Some people were already set up with chairs outside their cars or with their tailgates open. We found a pretty good spot not too far back, with a clear view of the massive screen. Dad parked the van and we all let out a little cheer. Step 1, complete. Now for the really important part, snacks! Mom said, "Okay, who wants to come to the concession stand?" Norbert's hand shot up so fast he almost hit himself in the face. So Dad, Norbert and I were elected for the snack mission. The concession stand was a little building near the entrance. The smell of popcorn was amazing. Choosing the snacks was a serious business. Dad paid for our mountain of treats and we carefully carried everything back to the van. Okay, so if you thought Norbert was excited before, you should have seen him once we were parked and had snacks. He was practically buzzing like a little bee. "Is it time for Paw Patrol yet, Dad? Is Chase going to be there? And Marshall? And Sky?" he asked about 1,000,000 times. Dad patiently answered, "Soon, buddy, very soon." He had brought his little PAW Patrol figures with him. He lined them up on the dashboard of the van, like they were watching the pre-show announcements on the big screen too. "Look, Chase," he'd say, pointing one of the figures towards the screen, "we're at the movies." He made them do little jumps and bark. Mom smiled at him. Every few minutes Norbert would ask again, "Is it starting now, or how many more minutes?" As the afternoon started to get a little bit dimmer, the big screen flickered to life with some pre-show announcements. They showed ads for upcoming movies and reminders to turn off your headlights. Norbert watched every single thing on the screen with wide eyes as if it was all part of the main event. Mom and Dad were busy tuning the car radio to the right station for the movie sound. There was a bit of static, then suddenly clear sound filled the van. "Got it," Dad announced. The official start time was 3:45 p.m. As it got closer, the anticipation in our van was thick enough to spread on toast. Then, exactly at 3:45 p.m., the screen went dark for a second, and the big, colorful Nickelodeon logo appeared. And then, the music started. The familiar, super catchy Paw Patrol theme song blasted through our car speakers. Norbert absolutely lost it. The movie had begun. We all settled in to watch. Being at the drive-in was pretty awesome. We were all comfy in our van, surrounded by our blankets and pillows. Norbert was snuggled between Mom and Dad in the front, just for the movie, safely parked of course, so he had the best view. Henry and I were in the back, with plenty of space to stretch out. It was way better than a regular movie theater where you have to sit in those stiff chairs and can't really talk. Here, Mom could whisper explanations to Norbert if he got confused and nobody minded. We could munch on our snacks without worrying about making too much noise. The movie itself was actually pretty fun. The Paw Patrol pups had new gadgets and vehicles, and the villain, Mayor Humdinger, was up to his usual silly schemes. But on a bigger scale in Adventure City, there were lots of action scenes and funny moments. Norbert gasped when the pups were in danger and cheered loudly when they saved the day. We all laughed at some of the jokes. Even Henry admitted that one part with Rubble was kinda funny. It was nice just being together as a family, sharing this experience. The big screen made everything feel epic. The sun had set by now, and the screen was bright against the dark sky. The movie wrapped up with a big happy ending, just as you'd expect. The drive-in experience was definitely a success. Once the movie ended and the credits finished, Dad started the car. It was time to pack up our blankets and pillows and head home. Lots of other car engines were starting up too. It was a slow procession out of the drive-in lot, but nobody seemed to be in a huge rush. Everyone was still basking in the afterglow of the movie. Norbert was chattering away about his favorite parts. "Did you see when Chase used his new net? That was so cool. And when Sky flew her new jet? Awesome." He reenacted some of the scenes with his hands, making whooshing noises. In the car on the way home, we all talked about the movie. Mom said she thought Liberty was a great new character. Dad said he was impressed by the animation. Henry admitted that the part where Mayor Humdinger got stuck in his own giant robot was pretty funny. Norbert, of course, loved every single second of it. He kept asking if we could get the Paw Patrol movie on DVD so he could watch it again and again. Mom said, "We'll see, sweetie." It wasn't long before the excitement of the day, combined with a belly full of popcorn, started to catch up with Norbert. Soon enough, Norbert was fast asleep in his car seat, probably dreaming of heroic pups and daring rescues in Adventure City. We arrived home feeling tired but really happy. Even after the movie and the drive home, Henry and I weren't quite ready for bed. We still had some weekend energy to burn. "Hey," I said to Henry, "want to play some Lego Batman on the PlayStation 2? His eyes lit up. "Yeah, good idea," he said. We headed down to the basement where our trusty old PS2 was hooked up to the small TV. It might not be the newest console, but it has some classic games that are still super fun to play. We fired up the PlayStation 2. The familiar startup sound played, and then we navigated to the Lego Batman video game. Henry usually likes to be Batman, and I'm happy being Robin. The game is great because you get to run around Gotham City, smashing Lego objects to collect studs, and solving puzzles to catch famous villains like the Joker and Penguin. We played for a good hour or so. There was a lot of button mashing as we fought off Two-Face's goons, who were also made of Legos, of course. Eventually Mom called down, "Benjamin, Henry, time to start thinking about bed." We were just about to finish the level. We finally defeated Two-Face and watched the little cutscene where he gets taken away by Lego Commissioner Gordon. It had been a super fun Saturday, from Paw Patrol at the drive-in to Lego Batman in the basement.